Are we running? I hope we are. Hello, hello, my dear friends. Operator.starsky here. As always, it's a big pleasure to see you guys. It's been a while. So today we will talk just a bit about the recent events that took place in the Middle East. We're talking about Trump's invasion of Iran, Trump's attack on Iran, and what it means to Ukrainians, because I'm a Ukrainian, so obviously I will talk a bit about this. So very happy to see you, my friends. Hello, Katie here, and Newman, and Ali, and Frag, and Martin, and everybody else. From Ukraine's standpoint, because again, position changed, position varies, okay, in the society. There's a lot of people wholeheartedly supporting American attack on Iran. There's a lot of people who say that this is basically an escalation. Some of the smarter MAGA people say that they didn't really expect this guy who was like rooting for peace around the world and talks with Russian terrorists, with China, with Iran and everything else, all of a sudden decided to attack this country instead of negotiating. Why doesn't he want to attack Russia, for example, for striking Ukraine, or at least intercept Russian missiles? We will not see that happening, of course, but he doesn't really want to negotiate with Iran. And that's a different thing. But as for Ukrainians, what is the main position, what is the main stance in the Ukrainian society regarding the American airstrikes on Iran? We gotta look at this from two perspectives. Perspective number one is emotional, and perspective number two is logical, right? Emotional perspective among the Ukrainian people is, of course, a lot of Ukrainians do support those strikes. Why? Because you can't really blame Ukrainians for that. Iran supported Russia with Shahed drones that killed plenty of Ukrainian civilians. A lot of Ukrainians lost their lives due to what the Iranian regime did directly, right? So I don't think that you will blame Ukrainians very much for that. First of all, 2020, I believe it was 8th of January 2020, Iran shot down Ukrainian airplane over Tehran, which was, by the way, crazy. I remember that day what did I do back in 2020? I think it was around COVID hysteria, but hysteria epidemic. Oh my God, I'm already talking like some RFK or something. Ukraine's Flight 752, Ukrainian International Airlines, taking off from Tehran, and flying towards Ukraine, was shot down by Iranian air defense, by the unit that belonged to the Islamic Revolutionary Guards, all those fucks. And the guy who was responsible for that, by the way, he died recently. He died in one of the strikes that were conducted by Israeli forces. So when they shot down Ukrainian airplane over Tehran, or their own capital, first thing the regime of Khamenei did, they said that we don't know what happened. It crashed itself. Then they had to admit that they shot down the airplane themselves, killing more than 100 people, and until this day, no compensation was paid for that. So the people who lost their relatives in that tragedy, nobody compensated nothing to them. Iran didn't do anything. We have embassy of Iran in Kyiv, and of course they said that, yeah, that was a big mistake. Our air defense recognized this civilian airplane that had a civilian transponder as an aerial threat, and we shot it down. We're sorry. Basically, that's it. And later, several days ago, the dude who was responsible for the air defense, he became better as well. And Ukrainians were basically mad at the Iranian regime already for that, already years before the full-scale Russian invasion and the following Iranian involvement into the war as Russia's supporters, as Russia's military allies, who not only sent their Shaheds to Ukraine, but also to Russia that later were hitting Ukraine, but also sent their instructors who taught Russians how to operate them. A few of them were killed, I believe, in Crimea 2022, 2023. There was a strike that effectively eliminated quite a few of those in the Russian-occupied Crimea. And after that, Ukrainians, of course, were not really, didn't really have good feelings towards Iran. Especially while Iran keeps bullshitting everybody that they didn't do anything. Those were not their drones. They didn't help Russia, and they didn't support Russia. In the meantime, of course, they signed the strategic collaboration with the Russian terrorists, which will not help them much, of course, but we will talk about that later. So basically, Ukrainian people, when you ask them, majority of them, again, from the emotional standpoint, which I completely understand, they will tell you that they hate Iranians for what they did to them. And of course, they believe that this is a big karmic response to the Iranians who, all Ukrainian people, emotionally are blaming for what is happening in Ukraine nowadays. And even if you tell them, like, guys, we are on the brink of the World War III, of course, Ukrainians will not understand you, again, emotionally, because Ukrainians have the war for already more than 3 years. And, if the war starts, I'm honest with you, if the war starts somewhere outside Ukraine, in a different country, it won't be something that Ukrainians will be running around and screaming, oh my God, like Joe Rogan, for example, or like, I don't know, Dave Smith, those fucks. Those are the ones who like to run around like, oh my God, somebody help! I don't want to die from a nuclear apocalypse. Ukrainians, can you just die, please? Please, Ukrainians, die. Die and save us from the nuclear apocalypse, because if you don't die, Russia will kill us. Russia hit Ukraine with Oreshnik ICBM that wasn't nuclear, but if it was, we would, oh my God, that would be an apocalypse. Ukrainians, please be so kind and stop breathing, okay? Save us. We are so scared. Ukrainians will never understand that. Ukrainians are fighting. They live in this war period for years already. And yeah, I completely agree with Paul. Putin basically started the World War III in 2022. From the logical standpoint, the war in the Middle East, the war between the United States, Israel, and Iran is an extremely bad thing to happen. I will explain you why. Again, even today, those drones that are flying at Ukrainian cities, they are not made in Iran anymore. For already several years, Russia is making those drones themselves. Iranians taught them how to build those drones, and Russians established several factories producing them. Actually, it's a very interesting topic, because the drones that Iran supplied Russia with in the beginning, they were extremely primitive. They were extremely primitive and more expensive than modern Russian drones. They look the same, but they are already modernized. Back then, they had inertial guidance system. They were not guided, basically. They were not controlled. They were just launched, and they were loitering, right, towards the target. Russians started improving those drones. They installed a bunch of modules. They installed cameras. They installed GSM modules that are controlled through Ukrainian SIM cards, those that the Russians snatched back in the days. And they use those SIM cards to guide the Russian drones to the targets and to collect the data, because those drones also provide real-time video footage to the Russian terrorists, so they can literally see what is happening in the real time, or later receive the footage and use it in terms of reconnaissance and things like that. Currently, they even use cheaper engines on those drones, because the engines that were installed by Iranians on Iranian Shaheds, they had like starters. The engines that Russians now install on their drones, they don't have starters because they are cheaper, right? And they cost probably the same. Maybe they even cost more than Iranian drones. According to like Russian audit, they may even cost more. But of course, Shoigu needs like a new paint job, to apply to his villa. He needs like a better car. His wife needs a better dress and things like that. That's why they even make those drones out of cheaper materials, including the cheaper engines, because of Russian corruption, which is on one hand is good, because not all of those drones are as effective as they were with like better engines for obvious reasons. But on the other hand, it means that they made their production even cheaper, even though on paper it doesn't seem so. Does Russia make all the components for the drones, or are some of them still coming from Iran? They make all of their components themselves. There's not many of those components that should be delivered from Iran, because Iran basically only created the shape and then filled the shape with components that they snatched in different countries, in the United States, in Japan, and things like that. Russians basically don't produce much. Iran also doesn't produce much. Iran only combines things, okay? They combine like microchips and different components and parts. They salvage stuff, and then they build those drones that they use. Same with Russia. Russia doesn't produce much, but Russia is able to basically combine things from the salvaged parts. Hello to Kosovo. Hello. Ukraine loves Kosovo as well. I was talking about drones, and currently we can see that Russia is producing massive amount of drones on a daily basis. But what is the logical standpoint? Okay, because aside of emotions, which again I can completely understand, we gotta be cold-minded and look at things from a logical standpoint. Emotions, I can completely understand myself as a Ukrainian. Ukrainians lost a lot of civilians, a lot of relatives, a lot of parents. I remember first days when those shaheds were used, killing pregnant women. Oh my God, it was insane. And of course, Ukrainians don't wish well to the Iranian people, right? It's a natural thing when there is a criminal that is tried in front of your eyes, a criminal who killed some of your family members. Of course, you wish this criminal like the worst punishment ever. You wish to see him like torn in pieces, but the most thing he will receive is, of course, a sentence behind the bars, which again, logical and normal thing. I want to see Putin rotting behind bars for the rest of his days. Even, I don't want Putin to die instantly. I would seriously, I would just go there and watch him through the bars and drink coffee every day, enjoying the view. That's what I want to see. But emotionally, of course, Ukrainians are very, very mad at Iranian people. Ukrainians are very, very mad at Russians. Do we want to see Russians hiding in the bomb shelters with their kids like rats? Of course we do, right? But do we strike civilian apartments of Russian people like Russia does? Of course we don't, because we have more important targets than that. Like striking civilians doesn't change much in terms of war. Which is, by the way, again, another very, very interesting topic that we will talk about. So that's the thing. That is like two standpoints. Logical standpoint. Turns out that Russia feels extremely, extremely interested in seeing this war between Israel, United States, and Iran developing, growing, and continuing. Why? Because Iran supplies Turkey, through Turkey, it supplies the rest of the world with its oil, right, with its fuel. So in case the Iranian oil stops coming to the international markets, the prices for the oil will grow, which means that the Russian price for the Russian oil will also start growing. And we can already see that, actually. We can see that my God, Russian diesel is already increasing in price. And that's not really good for the very, very simple reason. The Russian oil export is the primary source of income to fund Russian war against Ukraine. If Russian oil is like sold cheaply and nobody wants to buy it, then Russia is losing and collapsing very, very fast. The situation that we can see now is absolutely different, of course. And I want to know about the fascist leader love triangle. Not a big expert in love things, as a divorced person. I know a bit more about military, but yeah, I know about military, and I know just a bit about fascists that are fighting against us. So Russia is very, very interested in seeing Iran's oil production, oil industry collapsing, because if this rival is removed, then Russian oil will be extremely valuable in Europe, and European leaders will start thinking on how to either not introduce new sanctions on Russia or increase the import of the Russian oil, right? Because at this very moment, the import of Russian oil in Europe is extremely small, even though Europe still has to pay Russia something like 20 billion euros this year, which is enormous money in terms of funding the Russian war. We know that big portion of that money will, of course, land somewhere in Putin's pockets, but still. So there was this attempt by American Republicans, by Lindsey Graham and guys, to create new project and introduce new sanctions on Russia, and Trump was thinking, yeah, maybe I will take this decision, maybe I will not, right? Trump. But this, I don't popularize conspiracies, right? But on one hand, we can see that Russia is risking this huge threat of having its oil industry completely destroyed. On the other hand, we can see that now it has actually a chance of becoming a new supplier of oil for European countries. United States will be supplying Europe with oil. Russia will be supplying Europe with oil. It seems like a very, very good deal, right? I don't think, as a conspiracist, I don't promote this as the main idea, like what was happening behind the curtains and stuff like that. But what I think might have been happening behind the curtains is Putin helped Iran to build Iranian oil industry big time. There were a lot of Russian experts, a lot of Russian specialists coming to Iran, helping to build those refineries, because again, Russia has very, very big experience in producing oil. And Russians have very, very precise and detailed intelligence on Iranian oil refineries, on all of their oil industry. Also, Iran signed the strategic military agreement for collaboration with Russia, which again means intelligence sharing and things like that. Will Russia help Iran? Never. Russia will not help Iran. The only thing Russia could help Iran with would be air defense systems. But Russians, let's be honest, they need those air defense systems themselves, right? And they don't have enough air defense systems to even protect their own Russian oil refineries, Putin's palaces, and everything else. So they will not be helping Iranians with air defense systems. They might send some kind of humanitarian aid, some kind of Shi and old MREs, and say like, this is from the Russian people to you, sincerely. But you will never see any military aid coming from Russia to Iran in the nearest future, because Putin doesn't really want this war to end. It benefits Putin, actually. Putin will say like, ooh, you, Donny, you're a bad boy. And Donny will be like, come on, deal with Ukraine first, you know? And they will be like threatening each other with their like index fingers, you know? But we all know that Trump absolutely loves and admires Putin. Trump hates Iran. Not just Khamenei, okay? Let's be honest. Trump, as I consider him a white supremacist, he hates everybody who is not white. That's only my personal opinion of him that I have complete right to have. Did you notice that, for example, when Russians spread their propaganda, against Ukraine, they usually mention like Ukrainian Nazi, Ukrainian junta, Ukrainian repressions against Russian-speaking people. They mention Ukrainian corruption, Ukraine being a puppet of the West, which I think Trump already realized that it's not the case, right? And things like that. When, for example, current White House, current Trump administration spread or retranslates Russian propaganda about Ukraine, they usually omit Ukrainian Nazi, Ukrainian junta, Ukrainian fascist, and oppressors of Russian language, because what's wrong about oppressing everybody non-white, right? So you will not see that happening. MTG is the only person who retransmits Russian propaganda, which again, in my personal opinion, makes her a 100% confirmed Russian asset. She will say whatever they pay. But everybody else, Donald Trump, like he doesn't see anything wrong about being white supremacist, I believe. So what we were speaking about, Iran is fighting on its own. Ukraine is the same. Pretty much, yeah. Now, speaking of the big damage that Israeli and American attack on Iran is doing to Ukraine. Okay, damage number one is the oil price. It's more global thing. The oil price will result in Russia receiving more money on funding its war. It means more shells bought from the North Korea. It means more Russian Shaheds already produced in Russia and shot at Ukraine, more missiles shot at Ukraine, more Ukrainian civilians killed. That is a direct result of American and Israeli attack on Iran. They literally shoot their missiles from Israel or from American airplanes at Iran. After several weeks or months, those missiles will land in Ukraine. That is like from point A to point B, just so you could understand. That is thing number one. Thing number two, nowadays, you remember that there were a lot of protests against Khamenei, against Islamic regime of Iran. There were a lot of young people who were captured by those secret services in Iran and tortured and killed, Masa Amini and things like that. They were shooting those kids on the streets, like literally, which was absolutely crazy. A lot of people hated regime. A lot of people who didn't protest still hated regime. Why? Because people are poor in Iran. Generally, people are poor. They have enormous inflation. The prices grow basically every week. Whatever today costs 10 Greeks, tomorrow will cost 20. Prices grow, people are not satisfied with that, they're not happy. Iran prints money, gives people more money, prices grow, that's the inflation basically, and they cannot do anything. So people, basically the situation is the same as in Russia. People are either don't really care if they have a chance to have good job, or they're like afraid to talk about it, right? Because there's a very, very big and strong repressive machine working in Iran nowadays, which is Khamenei, his regime, Islamic Guards, secret police, and all other fucks. So the direct result that we can observe nowadays of those strikes on Iran is that even though those people that hated Khamenei sincerely yesterday, and people that were protesting on the streets against Khamenei and his regime, they freaking love him today, because those strikes turned Khamenei and his terrorist regime from terrorists and oppressors to saviors of the nation. Russians are very good at conducting informational operations, which basically brought Trump to power, right? Let's be honest. All sorts of Russian bot farms were supporting Trump in the social media, creating fake websites, all that stuff that nowadays Trump, all the investigations are stopped, and like let's not talk about that. Having information, having such resources as bot farms, oh my god, media, you can literally remove governments, you can change governments, you can do whatever you like if you have power of information in your hands. Neither Israel nor United States didn't give a slightest fuck about that. They literally started turning Khamenei from a terrorist and oppressor of his nation to savior of his nation in the eyes of the population, using their missiles and bombs. That is wrong, 100% wrong. Nowadays, that dude, the descendant of the royal family, Pahlavi or whatever, he's like, my dear friends, let's rise up. I will be leading you. F you, dude. Where were you for the past decades? You were like living in Los Angeles or New Jersey. Where do you live? Like you never even visited us once. You never even supported Iranian people in their fight against Khamenei. You did nothing. You just ran away, and now from the other part of the globe, you're like, speaking those words. He's absolutely not popular in Iran. Khamenei's popularity is unfortunately growing because Iranian people are afraid of missiles. They die, of course, and they look at Khamenei as the only force that can basically save them. So they don't love Israel. They don't love United States. That's another thing that you should understand, because again, the propaganda in Iran was extremely, extremely strong all these years. And you will rarely find a person in Iran who will openly say that I freaking admire United States and Israel. No. They don't look at those countries as their saviors. They don't look at those countries as countries that may help them remove the oppressor of their nation, of Khamenei. They stick with their own, okay? They will stick with Khamenei because currently Khamenei is the only authority they recognize. So instead of this, using information, using less blood, using less effort, I would say, less finances, instead of using information against Khamenei in his own country, basically what we can see is that United States are helping him become more popular, become the savior of his people in those people's eyes, and it will be extremely, extremely hard to change. Because from the very, very beginning, all this operation was extremely freaking wrong. Greg Terry, hello, my dear friend. Where are you there? Hey, hello, brother. Trump is the president of America, might want to show some respect. I do respect President Donald Trump, but I don't think that I should just shut up and don't talk bad about him. Don't criticize Donald Trump, because there's a lot of fucking things that I can tell you about Donald Trump which are worth criticizing, okay? So if you don't like Trump, you don't like America. Oh my god. Yeah. Speaking of Trump, the other day when there was this absolutely horrifying attack on Kyiv, when there was absolutely horrifying attack on Dnipro, later Odessa, the journalists asked him, like that very morning, they asked him, Mr. President, what do you think about the most recent strikes that Russia conducted against Ukraine? He was like, what strikes? I didn't hear about that. What are you talking about? Because he doesn't care. He literally Claire, hello, by the way. That's your opinion that I completely respect. Okay, I will not say that like Trump is a disaster for American people, because let's be honest, American people elected Trump. But I completely respect your opinion about this. Also, we have a Greg Terry. Greg Terry is a conservative American, and still he has his own opinion that I completely respect. Don't insult clowns. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Love from Sweden. Hello to the beautiful Sweden. Donald Trump is a commie bootlegger. If you asked me like last year if I consider him a Russian asset, I would go like, well, I have doubts. Today, I would say that I give 99% that he is, all right? the possibility of him being a Russian asset is extremely high, looking at the way United States are now voting together with Russia. United States, not United States, the administration of United States is now convincing European countries not to adopt resolutions condemning Russian aggression during the G7 meetings and things like that. Of course, guys, one thing we will never see is Trump placing sanctions on Russia. We will not see that. Lindsey Graham can write as many projects of those sanctions against Russian oil as he likes. He can produce tons of them. He can literally bring them all and put them in the back of his car or in his truck and literally drive around and show everybody, like, look what I did. It will never be used, all right, by Donald Trump. As long as Donald Trump is American president, we will not see that happening. We will not see Trump criticizing Russia because Trump supports Russia. Sincerely, okay? He never said anything wrong against Putin. Whatever he wrote in his social media, we are not even sure that it was Trump himself, okay, who wrote that stuff. Because what he says today is absolutely different from what he said yesterday in his social media. When the journalists ask him, like, you called President Zelensky a dictator in your social media. He's like, no, I didn't. I did not. So we will not see Trump criticizing, condemning Russia, attacking Russia, placing sanctions on Russia. It will not happen. He will always support Putin. He will always do whatever is beneficial for Putin, rather than helping Ukraine, because we already see this continuing for like more than half a year. Anyways. Another thing that could have happened behind the curtains that I actually see happening, because Russia helped Iran build its oil and nuclear facilities. I know that Russia has a very, very detailed intelligence data collected on those facilities, right? How do you think could Putin, in his phone call to Trump, tell him that he has something to share with him? Please let me know, because to me it seems incredibly plausible that actually Russia could literally share their intelligence data, targets, dislocation of air defense systems, dislocation of important facilities, substations, and things like that. They could easily pass this information to the United States, to Trumpushka, to Tavarish Trump, and Trump would say, Tavarish Putin, you are so good. Could that happen? I can literally see that happening vividly, okay? Again, that is just a conspiracy, but on the other hand, I think, do we vape the same way? Really? Do you like pink? Oh my god. Paul, you're a real man. So I literally bought pink because that was the only color in the grocery store, I swear. So that sounds like a conspiracy, but I think that there is a very, very high probability that it could happen. I think that this was extremely, extremely plausible. So they could provide this intel to the American intelligence service through diplomats. So then Trump would say, Mr. Trump, Mr. Putin, you are such a great man. Let's supply Europe with our oil together. That could absolutely happen, in my opinion. Interesting that Putin said we will be open to talks with Ukraine again after June 22nd. Just, yeah, absolutely. Which again, they can negotiate with Ukraine like for the next decade, because basically whatever they say cannot be applied in the real life. We all saw that. When Russians say you gotta give us like your oblasts, especially those that we don't control with our mighty Russian troops, because our mighty Russian troops were stopped in Ukraine 2 years ago. We didn't move any like further. Of course, Ukrainian response there will be only one thing that Ukrainians will say. They will go, "Вафа напали, дорогие товарищи." So that's just my opinion. Guys, please let me know what you think about this. Kellogg went to Belarus several days ago. Fuck Kellogg. One thing that I wanted to talk to you guys actually several days ago, but unfortunately I fell asleep. I don't know what was happening with me, my friends, but I'm sleeping like 16 hours a day, which is probably wrong. I think maybe it's time to go to hospital and like check myself. I have no idea why it's like that, but that's the fact. Several days ago, I wanted to discuss one interesting fact about the strike that took place in Ukraine about a week ago. You remember that one of the security reassurances by Trump during all those during that period when Ukraine was signing, not signing, not signing that insane rare minerals deal, right? One of the biggest security reassurances for Ukraine from the standpoint of Trump was the very presence of American companies in Ukraine. So Trump said that American companies will be present on the Ukrainian territory, which means that nobody will ever attack you. We will crush anybody. Anyways, President Zelensky was saying that, guys, there are hundreds of American companies that all the assets they had are now in Russian hands because Russians snatched everything. They literally occupied territories. They took the property of American companies, and Mr. Trump didn't say a word about that. So a week ago, an office of a big American company was attacked in Ukraine. I'm talking about Boeing. Please raise your hand if you don't know what company I'm talking about, okay? So, company of Boeing, which I think there's no need to explain what sort of the company it is. It was attacked and damaged in Ukraine, in Kyiv, and this office, this building, was still used. So it was attacked. Luckily, there were no victims, but the very building was damaged. And how do you think? Do you consider Boeing an important American company? Please let me know in the comments while I'm vaping. Because I really do. I consider Boeing an important American company, especially in Europe, all right? Because like half of Europe uses Boeing airplanes. Not only because of that, because Boeing is providing maintenance. Boeing provides all kinds of services to their airplanes in Europe and around the world. So Russia literally attacked this company in Ukraine because Russia could, because why not, right? And again, tell me honestly, have you heard at least any reaction in the American media about that, probably because it was so underreported. However, I saw updates on that in some of the bigger mainstream media, European media. Tell me if you have heard about that, because I haven't seen much reaction about attacking Boeing, office of Boeing in Ukraine. We will not see that reaction because, again, I think, whatever Putin does, Trump literally doesn't care. He received his portrait from Putin with American flag, I think, upside down on that image, that drawing. I couldn't be wrong, and basically he's extremely happy for that. So that was just my opinion, my friends. Please ask your questions in the chat. Maybe Trump spelled it wrong. Could be, I don't know. There's so many things he literally doesn't know about Ukraine at all. I just... Hexed the other day. I feel so much joy while, watching that interrogation in the American Senate between the senators and Hexed. Like, when he was asked about, like, what is the name of Russian military base, Russian territory located between Poland and Lithuania and posing a big threat, and he's like, because geography, fuck geography, like, who the fuck cares about geography? Hexed, come on. Suwal corridor, same shit. Oh my god, like, I honestly don't believe that a lot of them are Russian assets. I believe that, a lot of things that we can see around us, a lot of chaos that we can see around us can be literally explained by the fact that, unfortunately, some people are imbeciles, like, for real. And through some ways I cannot explain, they come to, like, governments, and maybe because they're extremely rich due to their dads or something. But anyways, so, all right. Melania from the Soviet bloc. Yes, by the way, a good point. What do you think about Merz for Ukraine? Much better than Schulz, and for Germany as well. I agree on that, absolutely. Like, Schulz was very good at talking, not very much at acting. Merz is very good at talking and acting, and talking is, of course, important because, the narratives that we say, they have weight. Have you tried getting Prince to kiss you to wake you up? Shit. First of all, Prince unfortunately left this world several years ago. I loved his songs. Second, my doors are closed. I keep them locked. If I unlock my doors and keep them open all night, in the morning I will wake up myself from freezing. I will find myself, in an empty apartment. Is there any substance to Trump has a Russian agent as a director of White House personnel? I don't... sorry, Noad. I feel very, very stupid right now. My brain doesn't work well. Why didn't Iran get paid in uranium-235? Why didn't? Well, I don't know, but what I know is that they actually had this option on a table to literally use tactical nuke to get rid of Iranian nuclear facilities located in the rock, like on the bottom of it. So how do you interpret Lukashenko, the dictator, not the author? Is there an author? Oh my god. Releasing Sergei Tikhanovsky recently. I don't know really. I just learned this from you, my friend. But on the other hand, what can Tikhanovsky do? In case Tikhanovsky does anything, he goes back to jail straight. So not much he can do, actually. I agree on that, my friend. It was odd, but on the other hand, like, is there any threat that he poses to Lukashenko? Let's be real, right? Ukraine, yeah, Kimi, that one is very important. Ukrainian intelligence received a lot of data that confirms that Russia is preparing to strike North Europe, and they said that they will share this data with the international community because, again, that is something that we can see nowadays. Russia is preparing for the upcoming invasion. They will most probably attack some of the NATO countries. They stockpile their weaponry on the border with Finland and Estonia, and they build new brigades, concentrate new personnel, develop their bases there. Helicopter bases, so they are preparing for this attack. They also don't use like all of their strategic resource of missiles on Ukraine, even though they did earlier when they had a lot of it. But nowadays it looks different, and they stockpile that resource as well because they need to attack a European country as well. I see Iran as Ukraine, only aggressor is different. I see Iran as Ukraine before 2013, something like that. Because, again, in Ukraine, we had a dictator. In Ukraine, we had like something like Lukashenko slash Trump. I would not compare Yanukovych to Putin because Yanukovych was too dumb. But he was about as stupid as current respectable American president. And guys, again, it's only my opinion, but it's based on the fact that he doesn't know anything about Ukraine. He doesn't care, okay? He doesn't know that Ukraine was hit by Russian Shaheeds. He doesn't know that Ukrainian children were kidnapped from Ukraine massively in thousands. He doesn't know. He would start learning about Ukraine, but he doesn't want to do that because he doesn't care. All right. So we had our own dictator in Ukraine, which again was elected, but there were mass falsifications that were recorded, which, let's be honest, everybody knows about that. Why Yanukovych became so notorious in Ukraine is because his first elections to President Viktor Yushchenko, he lost because he forged elections. And the court that took place after that, the court concluded that it was the case that he forged elections for real. So he lost first elections to President Viktor Yanukovych, to Viktor Yushchenko, because Yanukovych forged elections, and the same shit happened after that. There were massive falsifications. Also, yeah, that is another thing, because Yanukovych is notorious in Ukraine because he's been to jail 3 times. 2 times officially that can be found anywhere, like in the archives, and 1 time based on different testaments of people who actually investigated that, because of rape. So 2 times because of robbery, and not just robbery, not just like, give me your money, give me your fucking shapka and your shoes and your money and shit. And he actually attacked people. So he went to jail for that after this attack happened. That makes sense, by the way, my friend. Yeah, good comparison. So, do you imagine a president who's been to jail several times for robbery and rape becoming a president? Before early this year, I would say not anymore, but yeah, that's a different thing. That's what I'm talking about. I personally don't care about regime. I only care what people. Yeah, I agree with you on that. And generally speaking, the attack on Iran, I don't see why it was necessary. Remember George Bush, who invaded Iraq, and George Bush massively hated for that, which he removed Saddam Hussein, which I support. Let's be honest, because Saddam Hussein was an MF, right? But on the other hand, this very invasion was illegal. All the observers who were sent to Iraq and saying that there was no weapons of mass destruction found and things like that. Saddam Hussein doesn't have biological weapons. Saddam Hussein doesn't have nuclear weapons. Absolutely the same picture nowadays we can see happening in Iran. Absolutely the same. We have IAEA that says that Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. We have observers that say that Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. But we have a crazy dude who was promising you during elections, because he wanted to become a president so much, he was promising that the world will become a peaceful place, right? And now he's literally dropping bombs on that land. Dude wants a Nobel Prize for peace. Are you for real? Are you kidding me? Come on, get real. Jesus. The Ore Cannibal. Holy shit, I saw that story literally 2 days ago, I think, about a dude who killed his comrade in the Russian army and then just ate him. That was crazy. That was crazy, my friends. You may want to check it out. I think, was it Arthur Ray who mentioned it, or some of the proper guys did a video on that on YouTube. It's insane. It's insane, but not surprising. It's a question of trust. Can the world trust Donny to do better in the Middle East? Of course, it's a matter of trust. How many citizens of the United States trust Donald Trump that Haitians eat their dogs and cats? Please let me know. Thank you so much. And again, I don't support Khamenei. I don't support his regime. I think Khamenei is a motherfucker, and he must be punished and face justice for what he does, as well as plenty of war criminals responsible for many of deaths of Ukrainian civilians. I honestly want to see them being tried and jailed for that. But this war will result in Ukraine being hit much, much harder than it is now. That is one thing. And another thing is that I don't see any legal reasons for that attack to happen. If you ask a common Ukrainian will tell you that they deserve that, okay? Because Ukrainians lost their relatives, Ukrainians feel emotional, and I think Ukrainians have right to be mad at Iranians. They have 100% right to do that, and they will be right for doing that. But speaking from the logical standpoint, I think that it was a very, very bad decision that we could see being adopted just yesterday. So, what do you think is the consequence for Ukraine? Well, as I said, my friend, I think that we might probably see the demand for the Russian oil growing. We might probably see sanctions never being placed on the Russian terrorists, especially on the Russian oil industry, and we will see Russia receiving more money to continue its war against Ukraine. And that is very, very bad, not only for Ukraine, of course, but also for the rest of the world. Democracy is standing because Ukraine is standing, let's be honest. That's what I was saying. IAEA said they didn't have evidence that Iran had a nuke. It could be made in secret. Anything can be made in secret, all right? Al Qaeda was making the anthrax virus in secret as well. Nobody knew about that, but it was the case. But it's not the reason to literally, I don't know, destroy other countries. Who knows, maybe Albania is building nuclear weapons. So what? We have to bomb Albania or something, or Greece, right? What if Greece builds nukes, in secret from everybody else? Let's just strike it preemptively, right? No. Donald Trump's parade, my friend. Donald Trump's parade is something I didn't even think talking about, because now we can see, like in North Korea or like in Moscow, we can see, a dude who decided to make a parade to celebrate his birthday. And with all my respect to American veterans, but that's, in my personal opinion, that's the case. I don't think that there must be a specific day to remember, not to remember, but specific day to appreciate American Army, because every single day for American citizens must be the day to appreciate American Army, just as it is in Ukraine, especially nowadays, because American servicemen protect United States 24/7. Same in Denmark with Danish guys, same in France with French army. Every single day must be the day to appreciate your defenders. And, again, I don't believe in coincidences. So it's like it coincided for whatever reason that, Trump decided to appoint this day. on the very day of his birthday. No, he just wanted to have a parade like in North Korea, to see the boys, parading for him. That's, again, only my opinion. Don't get me wrong, I don't disrespect American military, but I come from Ukraine. I saw what the oligarchs do. I saw corrupted fucks governing the country, not governing, but rather stealing everything the people have. And Trump reminds me of Yanukovych very, very much in terms of being okay. I don't want to talk a lot of shit about him, because people will be saying that I'm too biased. I gotta at least pretend that I'm not. Iran is one of the main trade routes into and out of Russia, oil and gas and a lot of rockets. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the reason why the regime must be removed on the first place. My biggest grief was, what the war between Russia and Ukraine started, like the full-scale Russian invasion started. I was so hopeful that Iran would step up and offer its oil for the world instead of Russia. And Iran would win so much. Oh my God, guys, do you imagine if, okay, we cancel Russia, we cancel Russian oil on the international market, like F you, Putin, okay, we don't need your shit. And Iran goes, guys, I can provide for everybody. Guys would be like, dude, we will do whatever. Remove all the sanctions. Return all the investments. All like international companies would just flow into Iran, and everybody would be happy. But I overestimated fucking terrorists ruling this country. So unfortunately, we saw a different development. We saw that terrorists ruling Iran decided to unite with terrorists ruling Russia, and unfortunately wasn't really good. I believe Iran can sell its oil because of the sanctions. Iran does sell its oil through Turkey, for example, and that's one of the reasons why Turkey still has good relations with this country, like good relations, like partnership, like trade, like air connection, things like that. The whole situation in the Middle East has its roots in the circumstance that Jews were persecuted for millennia now. I could talk more about it if I knew more details. I agree that Jews were persecuted for many, many, many years, if not centuries, if not millennia. But I'm not a big expert in Middle East. I am just collecting puzzles of what is happening and how it influences Ukraine in the long run. Really wish I was a Middle Eastern expert. If there's a regime change in Iran, will the Ukrainians want to have good relations with the new government? I think they will, absolutely, in case they see like Khamenei hanging. 100%. If they see Iranians hanging Khamenei somewhere, like on the street lamp, Ukrainians will applaud, and I think we will have good relations. Generally speaking, guys, there's a lot of Iranians in Ukraine right now. I saw a report the other day about Iranian fighting for Ukrainian army. I know personally a lot of Iranians living in Ukraine, a lot of Iranians who say we are so ashamed of what our regime did to your country and things like that. Not like Ukrainians hate those guys in Ukraine, but you got to understand one thing about Ukraine. We don't tolerate injustice, okay? We fucking hate it. We don't tolerate it. That's why we had Orange Revolution. That's why we had Revolution of Dignity. And when we look at Russia or Iran, where the situation is hopeless, we just, like, we don't respect those people. We respect people who can stand against the oppressor, who have balls. That is something we respect. If you have bravery, if you can sacrifice, if you can fight for yourself, if you are tired and sick of corruption and injustice in your country committed against you, your people, and you stand up and fight, shit, we respect that so much. Russia, fucking hopeless. Iran was hopeless until 2 years ago when they started, 3 years ago when they started having those protests. Ukraine was looking at that, with hope. Actually, we were hoping that regime would change, that people would stand up and rise up and remove the fuckers. Didn't happen. But at least we see that they're trying. So we have respect towards those people who are not afraid to try to fight. But yeah, exactly, like Iranian Maidan, absolutely. If you remember some of our streams with the Schulz, and there was an Iranian guy who talked about the revolution, I rooted for those guys with all my heart, sincerely. But if we see a hopeless situation like fucking like Russia, they don't care. Like, they don't have firewood. Their own government doesn't let them collect firewood in a forest. Russia has the largest tundra in the world located on its territory. They don't allow their citizens collect firewood in the forest. Instead, you gotta buy it. Because why? Because of corruption. This is how it works in Russia. They freeze. They don't have sewer. They don't care. Fuck that. Seriously. Like, Russia lost all respect from Ukrainian people. Several guys, like, I can count them with the fingers of the only hand, that I respect. The rest is like, Jesus. The Epstein files have more to do with Israel than Russia. I think they have more to do with Trump than Israel. Maybe I misunderstood the comment, but yeah. I remember the time I posted that picture of Trump with Epstein. In German, it's Epstein. In American English, it's Epstein. The day I posted that picture in my YouTube community, asking people, like, who is the guy and, like, what's the story, I think I had the most massive unsubscribe on my channel from the MAGA people. But I don't regret that at all. Fecal fountain. Katana, I remember the fecal rooster. I will show it to you, all right? I will show it to you using the magic of television, if I can. Can I? Just a second. How did I do it? Guys, I didn't stream for more than a week. I completely forgot how my stuff works. Ah, here it is. All right. How to call it? Петух и... Oh, shit. Петух из говна. So, in Russia, there is this absolutely popular dude. He's like a local creator in Russia. He uses feces to build sculptures. I'm not sure if you know about him. But there is this dude. Come on, here he is. This gentleman who builds big statues out of shit in Russia. Did you hear about them, by the way? Let me know if you did. Because he's legendary not only in Russia, he's also legendary in Ukrainian media, because every single time he gathers enough shit to build some new art installation, because apparently that's the only thing that he can use in order to create, you know, in Russia, like that famous anonymous in Russia said that Russia is a chaos of shit and death, right? So Петух из говна, or in your language it means a rooster made of shit. That is that was, I think, one of his first creations. People were like making pictures with that, hugging it, I don't know, like kissing it. Children were like making selfies or putting their kids there and photographing that. My shit, I'm gonna fucking vomit right now. Anyways, so, oh my god. Guys, if you wanted to know something, all right, about Russian art, well, you have such opportunity. It's not AI. It was way before AI was even introduced. Mikhail Roskin. Let me know what you think about it, okay? Can he do a Trumpist for the... Actually, that would be better than sending Trump that that portrait, okay? Too much epitage, too much pathos in that portrait. That would work too, I think. This is a very interesting question. I heard that Zelensky ran for president to tackle corruption. Medvedchuk. So we had an oligarch called Medvedchuk. Medvedchuk, he was connected to like all sorts of sketchy stories. He was like a mafioso since the Soviet times. In the Soviet times, he was a lawyer basically working for the corrupted communist regime ruling Ukraine. After Soviet times, he became extremely rich and successful. So he had a daughter, and Putin was a godfather to his daughter, to Medvedchuk's daughter. He was like literally a godfather to his daughter. So Medvedchuk controlled oil coming from Russia through Ukraine and to the rest of the Europe. Of course, a lot of corruption was involved, and Zelensky basically put Medvedchuk in the jail. Later, Medvedchuk was exchanged for a lot of Ukrainian soldiers. Medvedchuk was he was a media guy. He had a media, like huge media concern, and he also had his like extremely pro-Russian fascist party. Generally speaking, corruption in Ukraine, its roots grow from the pro-Russian thugs that were ruling Ukraine all these years. Are you going to be 49? Oh shit, I really am. I really am, my friend, in like 18 days. Thanks for reminding me, because Linda, I swear I don't celebrate my birthday. I think it was last year. Last year I kind of attempted to celebrate it, but the Russian terrorists hit Ukrainian children's hospital, so I don't feel like celebrating it at all now. We actually have like a mourning day for those kids, and I don't feel like celebrating my birthday anymore. Can I tell you what irritates me from our change to democracy from the aspect of a grown citizen of Korea? Of course, my friend. Iran has right to defend. My friend, Iranian people have all rights to defend their life. They have rights to defend their life both from Israeli and American attack and from Khamenei himself. How do Ukrainians feel about the Trump administration having so many pro-Russian politicians, even in high levels like Tulsi Gabbard? Ukrainians don't feel good about it at all. When you listen to President Zelensky speaking, of course, President Zelensky is a diplomat. That's why he never like criticizes Trump much. He says that, yeah, we feel abused when you say that Russians want peace because they killed several Ukrainian kids in Kryvyi Rih by attacking a children playground with a missile with shrapnel, which is designed to kill people in the first place. We feel abused when you say that, but he never lets guys. How do you call it when you like say shit about a person which is deserved? So please let me know. I need to know this. I don't know the synonym for that, but that's why you have me. Okay, that's why you have me. I'm not. I'm not limited by diplomatic etiquette. I'm a former military. I feel I have rights to speak what I feel. The Iranian regime is what the Iranian people have to deal with 100%, my friend. Why do I always get hungry watching your streams? That is because I think you already have like reflex, because we always talk about food. Where is my phone? Oh my god, I left it somewhere. It's in the other room. Anyways. Yeah, I have something to show you. All right. It may not impress you. Okay. But But I am very, very proud to have found this, actually, to discover this stuff, because again, I'm a wild Ukrainian. I didn't know that you can literally go to the grocery store and buy it yourself. So the other day I went to I went to Kaufland, and I bought French fries. I bought hamburgers, and I made French fries and hamburgers like they make it in McDonald's. Why it's special is because this is the way they make it in Ukrainian McDonald's. In Ukraine, the McDonald's is the legit place where you can take your family, spend good time, have good food. Service takes 5 minutes max. You just make your order, and in 5 minutes you have it on your table. It's fresh, it's clean everywhere. We don't have mice in Ukrainian McDonald's, and the food is extremely good. I compared. I can tell that McDonald's in Ukraine rules. So the other day I went to Kaufland. I bought French fries and hamburgers, like a whole kilogram of them. I never did it previously. That's why I'm so excited. And I made myself French fries with hamburger, which was so cool because it tasted like in Kyiv McDonald's. All right. And I was happy. And it took me 10 minutes to prepare. All right. Literally 10 minutes, which I value big time because I value time. Okay. When I'm hungry, I need to eat right now. That's why I made those. And I showed it to my lady. My lady is not here right now. She's like far away at the conference, but I could brag about that to her as well. So it was good. And the other day we took a ride. It was crazy, actually. We took a ride on bicycles in the area, and we went to the Polish store. The primary reason I'm going to that store is because they sell proper pickles. So we bought pickles, and we were like cycling in the area, and then we went to the park and stopped in the park, and we were sitting on a bench, and I'm like, let's have pickles. And well, usually when you walk like down a street in a park somewhere, you know, and you see like people sitting on a bench, they usually have either like some sweets or they drink something or coke or whatever. And we were there literally munching on pickles. That was so cool. Have you had cherry-filled pierogies before? Oh, my friend, those are the best. Those are the best. There's two kinds of them, two kinds of dough. So one kind of them is prepared on steam, rarely fried, but mostly prepared on steam. You can take them with the hands because the dough feels like dry, soft but dry, right? They're good. And second kind is, of course, the pierogi, the vareniki that you boil in the pot, and then you eat them with a lot of sour cream, because in Ukraine, we eat everything with sour cream. Pickle are really easy to make. I agree on that, but it requires a lot of time, and whatever tickles your pickles. I haven't heard that before. So yeah, a best pickled food in Ukraine: pickles, pickled cucumbers. The tiny ones are the best. Do you like Salzgurken? I kinda eat them like once a year, but I prefer like proper pickles without vinegar, with plenty of garlic and horseradish, crunchy, sour-ish, you know, like proper ones. Am I banned? No, my friend, you are not. I guarantee. You need to try to hold there, okay? Just hold there. I'll be back. Okay, so sorry about that. I wasn't prepared. So if you want to cook French fries or whatever potato or um, pasta or anything, and you are tired of steaks, of hamburgers, of anything else, doner, guys, try this. All right, that is cevapcici, and they are good. And they are steamy because I took them out of the fridge. So they are made in the area where our friend comes from. You literally drop, but you gotta fry them well, okay? Because sometimes you don't fry them enough. You gotta fry them in high temperature. Sometimes you don't fry them enough and they're kind of raw on the inside. So you gotta fry them thoroughly. Literally drop them on the frying pan and just stir them all the time. So they're very, very good. I only ate, I only tried them for the first time this year, actually. I love them. I have like, how much is that? Like a kilo. Like a kilo, yeah. And I will finish that throughout this week, I guarantee. So no, that's not an egg roll. That is literally beef, my friends. That is beef. And please let me know if I'm wrong, because I think they can kind of be made out of a different meat. I've only seen beef cevapcici so far. Yeah, they're really good. So that is my advice. If you want to replace your usual whatever you eat, like steaks or anything, you want something new, some good meat, try those. They're very good. Is that a sausage? It's like how to explain it? Imagine like kebab and hamburger spent the night together, and they made a lot of those tiny things. This is how it tastes like. Hard to hard to explain. Just try. Just try. You will not regret. Dying for schnitzel. Hold. Okay. Ah, no. Actually, I finished one. I had it yesterday. Yeah. So. In the Netherlands, we got something called Vlametjes, translated as flames, basically fried thin batter with hot spiced meat loads. I think I tried those. I think I tried those like 2 years ago, but I might be wrong. Do you like cabbage rolls? I freaking love them, but again, they must be proper cabbage rolls. And proper cabbage rolls, my friends, are made with rice plus buckwheat, because ordinary um, cabbage rolls, holubtsi, that we have in Ukraine, usually they're made with like plenty of rice, a bit of meat, and that's basically it, and wrapped in cabbage. So proper ones must be made from rice and buckwheat, a lot of buckwheat. And trust me, when you try those with tomato sauce, you will never like to try anything else. We make steak sausages. Yeah, steak sausages. Those are good. Those are really good. Gotta be buckwheat, absolutely. We have a company that, by the way, sends buckwheat and sour cream. Yes, I agree on that. So we have what I was talking about. Yeah, we have a company that actually exports buckwheat to other countries, like to Europe. And just hold on, okay? I'll be back. All right. So we have a company called Zhmenka, and they sell buckwheat in Europe. This is how it looks like. It says Hrychana Kasha, and this one says Zhmenka. That is the company that produces buckwheat. So that's Ukrainian buckwheat that, again, I bought in Kaufland the other day. Actually looks good. I gotta cook it maybe like later today. So buckwheat is really cool. Guys, if you do sports, if you go to gym and stuff, or generally if you want to increase the amount of protein in your body, eat buckwheat. Buckwheat is extremely healthy and good for your body, especially if you train. If you need protein, you gotta eat buckwheat. And buckwheat is also extremely good when you just cook it with whatever meat goes. Fish, not really. It's good with meat. It's good with pickles. So try, okay? You will not regret it. How to cook buckwheat? Just like you cook rice. You take 1 cup of buckwheat, 2 cups of water, 15 minutes in the pot until the water evaporates. Just the same. I'm a sniper, so body weight is a negative. Oh my god, that is, yeah. That is why you need to eat buckwheat, my friend, because buckwheat will not make you fat. Protein is not fat. So protein is something that replaces your fat with muscle. Like if you eat a lot of булочки and, I don't know, sweets and things like that, cakes, then you will become fat, and it will not improve your sniper qualities. You need to put at least butter of that is not an unusual taste, my friend. That is true. You gotta put butter in buckwheat. I put butter in rice all the time. You gotta put something like that, something fat or olive oil, but preferably good my God, butter with good smell. Shit, I don't know. I'm losing words. Too much anything and not enough exercise makes everyone fat. Makes me thin, actually. Because if I don't exercise, I'm thin. There's like, you know, there's 3 types of body types that all people have. We are all divided in 3 groups. One is generally people who feel easier to gain weight, right? And they spend a lot of effort losing weight. Then there's like the unluckiest ones. That's me. We are ectomorphs. We lose weight all the time. You gotta work like crazy to look like a proper person, because if you don't work out, you look like a freaking skeleton. Nothing helps. And you gotta work out like crazy. You gotta spend too much time working out. And then there are like those lucky bastards, mesomorphs, I think they're called. Like, they have good genetics, they look perfect, they don't care, they work out like once a month, and they look fabulous. I had this friend, he was like that. He had good genetics. His grandpa was, I think, Hungarian, some like Hungarian cavalryman or something like that. I saw pictures, like black and white pictures of his granddad, like tall dude with mustache and stuff. And I'm like looking at my friend, they look the same. That's my friend who participated in all sorts of mixed fight competitions between football hooligans back in Kyiv. And he always looked fabulous. I'm like, do you work out? He's like, well, yeah, I do like 20 push-ups, like here and there, once a week. Some are just, you know, some are like motherfuckers. They are lucky to get born like that, with like perfect genetics, you know. They don't know the cost, the value of hard labor. On the other hand, if you're ectomorph and you lose weight very, very fast, basically you can eat anything. You can eat as many cakes as you like on a daily basis and not gain weight until you are 40 plus. That's when everything stops. Yeah. Question. Earlier you said more money from higher oil prices will mean more drones production. I feel that production is already at max before of limited factories that become good. Love from... Oh my god. Guys, help me. Is that New Zealand? I was like criticizing Hexet for not knowing geography. So, my friend, Australia. I need to Google. I'm getting older, and that doesn't make me healthier. But they have more funds to not only build more drones, but also buy more artillery shells from North Korea. North Korea is currently Australia. Yeah, God, New Zealand. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So they can buy more shells. drones are not the only weapon they use to kill Ukrainians. They buy artillery shells in North Korea, which is now their primary hub for production. Artillery shells of different calibers, not only 152 millimeter used by Russians, but they also produce and supply Russians with their own calibers, which are exotic to me. They're larger, those shells that they make, including their howitzers. They kind of bigger. I've never seen them before, obviously, because they're too exotic for our lands. But they have ability to buy more, to invest more into their social affair, not affairs, but affair of keeping their citizens happy by paying compensations for like their dead relatives and stuff like that, buying them ladas and shit. So if they have more funds coming to Russia, which is something that we're trying to stop with everything we can, it takes much efforts to destroy their schemes of delivering different parts and different banned supplies to Russia that they use to build their weapons and shit. Takes a lot of efforts, and all of a sudden Russians just receive, like several $billions that they can easily spend on fueling their war. So that is very, very bad, my friends. And whatever funds they have, they always use not for our benefit. So we gotta stop it. I love how this talk turned into enthusiastic, inspirational culinary show. That's my channel, my friend. This is how we do it. By the way, when did we start doing that? Guys, do you remember when did we start talking about food on my channel? Because I think it was like back in Kyiv. Correct me if I'm wrong. I also hear the Norks are sending people to build drones in not only people to build drones, but they also send a lot of specialists that work in their industry in general, because currently they have labor shortage, which is very, very unexpected, right? And they send guys from North Korea to work on the Russian enterprises, which is again not really encouraging. Pretty much from the start. I gotta check out. Hey, hello, the dude. Yeah, Babusa. By the way, a lot of people mispronounce this name. So babushka is a Russian word. Of course, it's widespread in Ukraine because in Ukraine we have this type of language that we call Surgic. It's like patois, right? In Jamaica. Patois is basically English, but not really. Surgic in Ukraine is like local thing. It's like a mix of Ukrainian and Russian words. Sounds funny, sounds cringy. And babushka, it comes from there. So while it's still popular word in Ukraine, but babusia is the proper way how we call babushkas. So it's babusia. And it even sounds cuter, right? Babusia. I think it started with the shells. I don't remember, my friend. I gotta check out the older videos because I literally don't remember when we first started talking about food. But I think it's something that makes our community more interesting and more special on this channel specifically because food unites people. Food connects people better than Nokia. toilet stock went up. Yeah, yeah. Why do I feel so hungry when Starsky stream ended? Well, what can I say? You're not alone, my friends. I have chewabchichi, I have buckwheat, and I also have those hamburgers, which I will probably eat tomorrow. I will make myself happy. So, is pasta still your favorite food? I think so. I think so. I will not lie, I think that pasta, not just pasta, but spaghetti, proper spaghetti, are very, very good. The other day I bought like this bottle of tomato sauce, and it's so good because you can put it in the pot with pasta, but with spaghetti, and you can also put it on top of pizza. So it's like double win. Guys, I'm drooling. Okay, I think I gotta stop the stream right now because I don't want to torture you anymore, and I think I will just go and eat something because my stomach it hates me at this very moment. Okay, so guys, please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks big time to our brave moderators. Thank you very much, my friends. I appreciate what you're doing, protecting us. There is no better security guarantee than the one that is provided to us by Ali and Newman and Katie. And also big thanks to all the viewers, all of my dear family there in the chat. Thank you so much. Love you all. And we'll see you later. Be safe. That's the main thing. And also have something good, because you deserve it. Bye-bye.